This week I'm in Brighton, my hometown. Meet Sarah and Stephen Mulheron. She's a senior manager for a multinational company. He manages the production line for a big pharmaceutical firm. Together, they earn nearly £90,000 a year. But now they believe there's more to life than a corporate wage packet. They want to set up a funky juice bar selling smoothies and snacks. And there's a lot at stake. As well as giving up both their careers, they're risking £100,000 on a business they know nothing about. That's where I come in. After years of hard graft, I made my fortune setting up a successful chain of bars and restaurants. I'll be mentoring Sarah and Stephen during their first year in business. Potentially, it's one of the worst things that can happen, a competitor opening doors away from you. Our entrepreneurs this week are trying to make a splash in one of the most competitive new businesses in the UK, juice bars. They're popping up on every high street as people demand healthier options. Fresh fruit smoothies are the fastest growing part of the £5 billion soft drinks industry. If they can crack that combination of great recipes on one hand and a tough business head on the other, they should be in line for some big rewards. On the face of it, Sarah and Stephen have already reaped rewards from their high-flying careers. The Porsche, luxury holidays, a smart flat in this converted manor house. But it's been achieved at a cost.
I think it's all very well having, you know, a great job, but if you've not got time to do the things which are important to you in your life, then for me, I had to question that. And I want to be able to do things like my yoga. I can take time to enjoy the sea and where I am and my family and my friends. I don't actually want to spend my life living so fast that I suddenly wake up, I'm 86 and think, well, you know, what happened there?
They've decided it's time to find an alternative to the rat race. They felt great on a new juicing regime. Now they want to share it with everyone else, and they think they can make money from their passion. To get things off the ground, as well as giving up their well-paid jobs, they're borrowing £60,000 from the bank and remortgaging their flat for £40,000, giving them a set-up total of 100 grand. A generous budget, but the less of it they spend, the quicker they'll be able to turn a profit. So how did you learn how to do all these? Have you done loads of research, gone through books, stolen other people's recipes, made your own? Where have the ideas come from?
A little bit of everything, actually. We actually started off on vegetable juices a few years back and found that suddenly we got something that was really tasty and was doing us good, and we actually felt really good on it. And when we started looking around for it, we found it was really difficult to get this sort of stuff when you're out and about.
Right, I've got to try this. It looks great. That's absolutely lovely. That is genuinely really, really nice. I like that. Thumbs up for the smoothie, but I want to hear a crisp sales pitch. Right, that smoothie looks good. It tastes great. But what's actually going to make that different to a smoothie you can get anywhere else in town?
We've found that we can make juice taste really good. You can also make it look really good. We believe you can also sell the benefits to make it more and more appealing and generally make some juices a little bit more sexy.
I like the way you say you can make them sexy because, you know, it's a product which isn't inherently sexy.
Essentially what we want when people come to buy from our shop is to feel better after they've left than possibly they did when they came in.
You two come across as being extremely nice people with very high ideals. I just want you to be aware that you're going to have to toughen up. You're going to have to develop a hard edge because Brighton's extremely competitive. It's really, really hard, particularly in the bit of town you're going for. So I just hope you're going to sort of almost develop a bit of a ruthless streak as well, because I think at some point down the line you're going to need it.
Yeah.
It's early days, but I think they might need to work hard to carve out a niche for themselves in this already crowded market. It's February. Sarah and Stephen have set themselves the target to be open by June to cash in on the lucrative summer season. So the hunt is on to find the right location. They've set their sights on the fashionable North Lane area in the heart of Brighton. They're very clear about what they're after, and it's not long before they find it. They've called me in to check it out. I mean, it's actually huge, this place, isn't it? I mean, most juice bars are quite tiny, but you've got this massive space at the back.
It's a huge, great place. It's like a huge T-shape, so it's going to work on like 3 zones. Loads of space down here for people to come in, grab and get something, just grab and go. Just, you know, come in,
so this is
come
like
out.
the takeaway bit.
And it just like begins to get a little bit quieter down here. So we've got like some tables and chairs where people can come in, have a fast lunch, you know, sit, have something to eat, something to drink, whatever. And then we come up into the 3rd zone of the place, and this is we've got this huge, wonderful space which is really bright and light, because people here, they're away from all the hustle and bustle of the counters and what's going on with the blenders, and they can just take some time out and chill and listen to some cool music and all that sort of stuff.
So tell me what you're bringing from your previous lives into this that's going to make this place successful.
Well, for me, first of all, I'm the one who's more practical, feet on the ground, tend to be a little bit, hold on a second, let's think this through. Sarah's more creative and comes up with ideas. So from that respect, Sarah's up here and I'm like saying, no, just let's hold the horse.
So who's the sensible one out of you two?
That's me. Yeah. That's me. I'm the one that's saying, here's the process, here's what we want to do, etc. And Sarah's fantastic, come up with ideas. So that works well.
I think it's a great space and a good deal at £30,000 a year rent. A week later, they've put down their 18 grand deposit and they're off the blocks. The name they've chosen is Sejuice. Fun, perfect for Brighton, with just a hint of that sexiness they were after. But it's going to be hard work to survive. They might be hoping for a more relaxing lifestyle, but all entrepreneurs have to put the hard graft in first to really establish their idea. There'll be no chilling out yet. With the location sorted, they need to get their creative juices flowing about the interior design. The Mad Hatter is one of Brighton's most successful cafes. I want them to soak up its bohemian vibe. This sort of sums up the way Brighton, you know, wants a cafe to be. The decor, the food, the furniture, the lighting, the music. They've got it all spot on, and this place is busy all day long. Just one thing I'd point out in this place, none of the fittings are really expensive. They've got quite a simple wooden counter. They've got a fridge, which is a fairly basic one that you could buy from a catering supply place. It's all, you know, it looks smart and it's clean, but they haven't spent like loads of money. It's the ensemble rather than the actual individual items. Apart from its laid-back style, this place has obviously kept its setup costs to a minimum. I reckon that's why it's thriving. I hope Sarah and Stephen take that on board. But they have other ideas and decide not to take my advice.
We found a place in Italy which do like really funky, stylish counters and design and stuff, and it's just fab. And it just the stuff that they put together looks like the sort of bar I would like to go and drink a smoothie or a juice. It just looks really cool and just a little bit different from anything that we've seen before.
The great thing about Sarah and Stephen is that they're so enthusiastic about their ideas. I'm a bit worried, though, they're a bit impulsive, and there's a chance with such a generous budget available, they might spend the money frivolously. The really important thing in business is to keep a firm grip on that bottom line. I'm helping Stephen and Sarah Mulheron to ditch the corporate 9 to 5 and set up a successful juice bar on a budget of 100 grand. They found their shop premises in the heart of Brighton, but they're far from alone. This area is packed with cafes and bars, and they're up against some stiff competition. It's now April. Despite advising Sarah and Stephen to stick to a budget of 10 grand for the fixtures and fittings, they've fallen in love with the elegance of high-end Italian design.
That's the one.
You like the wood panel, do you?
Not so much the wood panel. I like the curvature.
Would it be possible then to have 2 counters, maybe have a workstation at the back, because I think that's a really good idea.
Depends where you're standing.
The UK rep suggests they take a trip to the factory, which of course is in Italy.
Tell me English, I've got my pack-a-mat with me.
All good fun, but the trip costs £1,000 and a week out of their tight schedule. The plan is to be open in just 8 weeks.
And it's nice to go out and buy something which looks great, but it's got to work. So part of this visit is to sit down and work out the process and how it's going to work.
They've just entered the bewildering world of continental designer worktops.
So how many actual products do you have? When you say how many products, how many variations? It must run into hundreds.
Too many.
They're seduced by the tour of the factory, and it doesn't take long for the vino to go to their heads.
As soon as you start looking at these fantastic marble worktops, you know, it's so easy to carry it away. You know, it's so easy to, before you know it, you're looking at.
I want that really expensive one there.
Well, absolutely. I mean, our places look like the Sistine Chapel.
And they go for a handsome marble and chrome counter with a hefty price tag, a massive 25 grand, plus shipping and fitting fees. They keep me in the loop about what they're up to, but only after they've paid for it. It may give them a distinctive edge, but the point is, once you start overspending on the basics, it can really eat into your profits. The whole point of a budget is once you've set it, you need to stick to it. And back in Brighton, they make a worrying discovery. Their shop isn't as big as the Sistine Chapel, and someone's got their maths wrong.
The front edge of the counter.
That's workstation 1.
That's workstation 1.
Chiller.
Yep. So what do you think?
I think it looks awful big. It just looks awful big. I mean, the first thing that strikes me is that the art is very, very close to the door, and we're not going to be able to force through the door on the first thing, so it's sort of like, counters in your face here, and it doesn't look like there's an awful lot of space here. If you've got like the back thing here, then that could give us, it could be like, you know, all move to the right now, or move to the left now. You know, there's not room for anybody else. Is there any way we can get that narrow? Do they do narrower units?
I think we can get slightly skinnier units. We do need to make it smaller. We absolutely do need to make. And it's not until I've mapped this out that I realised how big it was.
They renegotiate for a smaller bar, but it's still going to set them back 19 grand, and it'll take another month to be delivered, pushing their opening back till the end of June. Then, more bad news. 50 yards down the road, a brand new juice bar's just announced its opening, and it'll have a 4-week head start on Sejuice.
When I saw last week that the sign goes up, fruit juice and smoothie bar, I must say I couldn't bloody believe it, quite frankly. The chances of that happening at the 11th hour, but as you say, there's no point dwelling on it.
You know, maybe there's some...
That's the way it is, and we just have to deal with it. We just have to make sure we're doing what we said we're going to do.
I mean, well, we've got a plan, we can stick to it, really.
Yeah.
Not going to change that anymore.
All they can do is plough on, helping their builders get the £30,000 refurbishment finished as soon as they can. 2 weeks later, as Fruit Fix opens, Sejuice is still a work in progress. They might have their logo up in the window, but all that potential summer trade is walking right past the door.
We're almost there. It's just that last bit of getting it all together.
And their confident, brash new competitors are telling Brighton all about it with a slick promotional offensive. Spot on for grabbing the attention of all those tourists in holiday mode.
Right. You juice bar just open over here on the left. All right. There you go.
They've hired a celebrity to spearhead their campaign. And masseurs are on hand to ease people into their smoothies. And unsurprisingly, it's all having the desired effect. In just a fortnight, Fruit Fix has undergone a full refurbishment and is soaking up all the summer trade. Sejuice, meanwhile, is 5 months old and still 2 weeks away from opening. So Fruit Fix has opened a few doors down from you, and potentially it's a major competitor. So how do you feel about that?
First of all, I mean, it's the one thing we couldn't plan. We think we've planned everything, but the one thing we can't plan is someone else doing exactly the same thing as we are on the same street. So yes, it's a worry.
It's more than a worry, isn't it? Because it's, I mean, potentially it's one of the worst things that can happen. A competitor opening doors away from you.
It's the last thing that we would really have wanted to open near us, and I'm quite sure that we're the last thing that he would really want to open near him.
I think you really need to hone what you're actually doing, your image and your offering in terms of the products and stuff like that, because the image they've gone for what I can see, is very clean-cut, crisp, white, very efficient. You know, it could be part of a chain, couldn't it? I don't think it is, but it could be part of a chain. Now, I think you need to really differentiate yourself from that, you know, so it's probably best not to go for the same type of image. Fruit Fix has really stolen a march on Sejuice. Their proposition was clear and simple. They got a crack team of builders in to turn the place around as quickly as possible, and they came up with a fun but effective marketing campaign. All of that has fast-tracked them into making a profit as soon as possible. Meanwhile, back at Sejuice, the spot of painting and decorating is sometimes just what you need to think things through. To survive, they must come up with that new, distinctive concept.
It's made us go back and reassess what we're doing and really focus on how we can do things slightly differently. And the way we're sort of differentiating ourselves is that we're going to be the first non-alcoholic juice-making cocktail bar. So we're looking to have the place kitted out with a bit of a feel of a cocktail bar.
Well done, guys. The cocktail bar concept is a great idea with a real competitive edge. So, out goes the old logo and in comes a new one at a cost of a sizable £4,000. But with the battle lines now drawn between Sejuice and their rivals in the fight for customers, I reckon it's money well spent.
We've gone for like a sexy seaside retro feel, something that's like a little bit different. So we've got pin-up girls on fruit and like big bold writing and just like great colours and things.
It's now mid-June, 2 weeks before they open, and 19 grand's worth of designer Italian bar is finally delivered, thankfully without a hitch.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
But now with a £100,000 budget almost spent, Stephen is having last-minute doubts.
We had some second thoughts of maybe these counters, maybe this is all a bit too expensive for what we're doing and for this area. Are we spending too much money on it? Is it going to look too neat? Is it going to look too professional?
Well, there's only one way to find out whether this gamble's paid off. Guys, this counter, it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. You know, originally I said you shouldn't get it. You should do something cheap and cheerful. Well, I eat my words, put them in a smoothie machine, I'm going to drink my words. It's superb. I think you made the right decision. It's really good.
Oh, hooray.
It's so sexy. You can't stop touching it, can you? It's really tactile, and the marble and this metal. I think you've done exactly the right thing. Show me what's happening around here.
We start off at this end. This is where it all happens. This is the fruit bit. So we have one fridge, 2 stations, replicated on both sides. So if I'm working a station here, I have 2 blenders, I have all my glasses to hand, I have all my serve and shave.
So everything's really ergonomic.
It's everything there, all in one place.
You know, it's all about you now having the edge over your competitors. Because to be fair, the competitors are fairly good, some of them.
Oh yeah, this is really classy, I think. I think this has got a certain edge. It's got a great space to sit down and like chill out. You can get stuff and just grab and go if you're at work or you're shopping, you're in a rush, whatever it is. So it gives you different options.
Although I was worried about the expense of it, the chic curved lines should work really well with the new cocktail bar idea. Next, I want Sarah and Stephen to focus on supplies. They sold me their idea by making some super smoothies. Now I want to make sure they get the best deal on the ingredients to maximise their profit margins. Sarah's done some research and she thinks she's found her man.
But they do them very cheap, you know, especially with the English cocktails and black currants.
A successful smoothie bar can get through 1,500 oranges, 700 apples, 100 kilos of bananas and 20 kilos of soft fruit in a week. So haggling and getting the best price will pay dividends down the line.
Let me see what else we would use.
What about things like mangoes and stuff?
Mangoes, yes, yeah.
I was really impressed. And I mean, from our point of view, it's like he delivers every day and he lives around Brighton, so it means that as we need the stuff, we can order it and get it in.
Back at the shop, they may be 6 weeks behind schedule, but the delivery of sofas, tables and chairs signals that things are coming together at last.
Just watch the sign at the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the arrival of the new sign pointing up that sexy seaside theme is already grabbing attention. It's 5 months since Sarah and Stephen secured the lease on an old clothes shop in the heart of Brighton's North Lane. Now it's been transformed into a contemporary cocktail-themed juice bar, complete with a comfy lounge area. They've paid out a total of $48,000 on rent and deposit, $30,000 on building works and refurbishment, 19 grand on their Italian bar and $8,000 on kitchen equipment and ingredients. A final total of £105,000. £5,000 over an already generous budget, pushing their break-even figure to the tall order of £500 a day. But the day before opening, disaster strikes.
We'd got some guttering problems, and Stephen had gone up the ladder when we'd got back from the shop, and he got to the top of it, and that's the last thing he remembers. He'd fallen off, so he'd probably fallen about 12 or 15 foot, and did what they call a window cleaner's fall. So he landed right on his heel and then smashed every bone throughout his heel, his ankle, and then fell over straight onto his head and knocked himself out. So when he arrived, he managed to get round to the front and crawl in, but he was covered in blood and just, oh, it was just like a nightmare, absolute nightmare.
The late opening has already cost them a potential £21,000 in turnover. But despite Stephen being stuck in hospital, Sarah must go it alone to try to recoup the losses.
It's just like your worst dream come true. I mean, when we put this together, the idea was that we had two of us. I mean, that was the team behind it. It was a driving force of two, and I don't have that. Stephen's in hospital, you know, thankfully okay, but can't do anything, and then he's unlikely to be able to help out for quite a long time. So I need to get myself into a new mindset and get myself to the space where we can actually get this up and running well very quickly.
Finally, it's opening day for Sejuice. Sarah's in charge of the whole operation while Stephen's forced to rest up at home. I've suggested that Sarah offers cut-price smoothies and free samples to entice punters through the door. It's a bit of a frenzy, but Sarah's 5 new staff are just about keeping up with it all.
That's a strawberry, raspberry and banana.
Okay. Half-price smoothies today only, opening day. Would you like a leaflet? Half-price smoothies today only, opening day.
Right, can I get a cosmopolitan?
Banana.
The freebies are making an impact, and as I expected, their concoctions are going down nicely.
I got a raspberry, cosmopolitan, strawberry, banana, lots of various stuff. I've had a few, but this is really good.
A bit more upmarket from some of the other shops in the street.
Super smoothie, really good, yeah.
I've never seen fruit move so fast in my life.
However, back home, poor old Stephen's feeling a bit sorry for himself.
The exciting part is obviously opening. Your first day you open the doors. So yes, I mean, to be honest, I feel quite sad that I missed out on that.
The tills are ringing at Sejuice, and for today at least, they're making a big splash in the sea of competition.
Have a good day.
The breeze is just coming out.
To be honest, I think Sarah's done an absolutely miraculous job. As yet, I've not had a smoothie from one shop, which to me is totally bizarre.
And as the doors close on the first hectic day of business, Sarah's on a high.
I mean, I was hoping that we'd have a good day today, but I wasn't expecting to have anything like the sort of day that we've had. I mean, it's been like spectacular.
Sejuice has got off to a pretty good start. On the first day, they take £400. But day 2, it's down, and by day 3, they're at £329, going worryingly in the wrong direction. At the end of the first week, I want to see how Sarah's getting on. It's early morning, and I'm surprised to find Sejuice shut, despite it being the height of the summer season. They've missed out on the first half of it, so now they need to be making a play for all the customers they possibly can. Just yards down the road, Fruit Fix is flying. In fact, it's pulling in all the early morning trade by doing a breakfast delivery service. That's money that could be going in Sarah and Stephen's till. Just been into Fruit Fix and come out with a tasty looking juice. Is that part of your daily routine? Is it something you do every day?
Yeah, well, I try for it to be, absolutely.
And you'd rather have a juice rather than a coffee or a croissant or normal breakfast sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, if you don't have time to get all your veggies and your fruit, then this is the easy way to do it. It's a quick way.
Sejuice isn't actually open at this time in the morning, but if it was, would you consider going in there?
Absolutely, yep. But this is when everyone needs a juice.
It's 8:15 in the morning, and this area is surprisingly busy. There are people going to work, there are shop workers, there are students. They're all hungry, they want coffee, they want breakfast. These guys aren't taking advantage of it, and I'm surprised about that, because everyone else is. The first year of any business often throws up surprises, but these two are having some very bad luck. They've had to delay their opening because of the mistakes with the counter and Stephen's disastrous fall, missing vital summer trade. Now a hot new rival has opened up just yards down the road. To make up for lost ground, they should be targeting the early bird trade. But I've been waiting since 8 this morning for Sejuice to open, and there's been no sign of them until 10 o'clock. Nobody starting a small business can afford to lie in. Time for a wake-up call. I want to have a serious chat with you two.
Okie doke.
Because I got here at 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
And this area was really, really busy. There were loads of people going to work, going to their shops, going to their offices, and they all had coffees, juices, all from your competitors and not from you, because you were shut. I spoke to a couple of guys who've been in one of your competitors this morning. Yeah. And it's part of their daily routine. They go and spend £3 every single day in fruit figs, getting a juice, and they do it on their way to work. And those guys were in there about 8:10. And that's money you could be having. You know, I just think you're paying the rent and rates in this place 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So I think you're missing a trick there.
I think you're right.
If you can get people to use this place as part of their morning routine, they'll then think to come back here for lunch or for a snack or in the afternoon. You know, you're making this place part of their lifestyle.
Oh my God, I'm going to be starting work at 7 again. I can see it. It's all going horribly wrong.
I know there's an awful lot to do when you set a business like this up, but I think now is a crucial phase because people make their judgment on this place now. And if you haven't got your menus and you're not doing deliveries, you're not doing pre-ordering, you're not open in the morning, all these things add up to create a negative effect, and you need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah.
Sejuice is the new kid on the block. Like its competitors, it needs to establish a loyal customer base, and fast. If they're to survive, they need to go all out to get more customers. The next day, I want to try out a PR stunt that I think will prove my point. All right.
See you later.
Sarah and Stephen should capitalise on a huge but as yet untapped local market. 2,000 office workers based in the streets all around their shop.
Very nice.
That's gorge.
Very nice.
That's nice.
If these guys ran a delivery service and they could bring one of these up to your office here, is that something you'd be interested in phoning up and doing?
I would, yeah.
Go on, you try one.
Little orange one. It's quite nice.
Awesome stuff.
Great stuff. Can I ask you, what time do you come to work in the morning?
I get here about 8 o'clock.
OK, so if these guys are open in time for you to get one on the way to work, that might be an interesting thing for you?
Yeah, definitely.
There you go, you need to open earlier.
You're not going to stuff out on open at 8 o'clock.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Got a whole plate of empty cups, good responses.
Well, I mean, it illustrated your point really well. People do...
Get up earlier.
Want...
What did I say? You didn't believe me.
People, well... Yeah, people want stuff. People do want stuff in the morning, and people do want stuff brought to them. That is a massive market.
Back at Sejuice a bit later, however, Sarah's still not convinced.
I don't want anybody to ask me why aren't you open at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I'm still asleep.
I really think that Sarah wants this hippie bohemian lifestyle. Now, I'm afraid that just doesn't mix with running a business. It's time she needs to knuckle down, sweat the assets, work 24/7 and hike up sales. And it's not just about trading as efficiently as possible. They must also get their heads around the money coming in and going out. Despite my constant requests, after 3 months, I've only seen the first 3 days' takings. Meanwhile, adamant that she's not going to ruin her beauty sleep, Sarah decides to liven up the lunchtime snack menu instead. At least it's a step in the right direction. But it's not long before I notice 1 or 2 problems. Staff don't know the ingredients for each smoothie and are constantly checking the menus on the wall. This wastes time and looks unprofessional. Customers are also waiting a long time for their orders, despite there being 4 staff behind the bar. At lunchtime, people want things quickly, and this slow service could really put them off coming back. There also seems to be no clear system for table orders.
Someone's messed up somewhere. Let me go.
Food is going up and down the shop before ending up with the right customer.
Oh, the chicken salads? I am not sure. Did I put outside on there?
Tables aren't being cleared away quickly enough. which just makes the place look untidy and unclean. In short, it's a bit of a shambles.
The cheese wrap was a bit slow, but I think they forgot about it.
Right.
So I got slightly stressed.
When you say slow, how slow was it? Because I mean, it's important for people to get their food in a reasonable time.
Well, because normally it would be fine, but because I work in a shop, so I only get a quick half-hour break, I was feeling a bit tense about it. So I think it took about 20 minutes.
That's quite a long time to get a wrap.
Yeah.
It's time for a tough talk. You don't look like a well-oiled machine. You need to learn how to run a team and how to run the actual mechanics of your juice bar. There aren't clearly defined roles, and the worst thing is that I don't think everyone totally knows what's in the products. The one big factor that you've got to sort out is the speed of service.
Yeah. I mean, essentially what we want to try and achieve, certainly very quickly, is a team that self-manages. So the systems are in place, that everything happens when it needs to happen.
Teams never self-manage, simply because anyone working for £6 an hour is never going to be as committed to it and as fired up and as passionate about it as you've got to be. It's your business, it's your baby, and it's only your energy and your ability to manage the problems that's going to sort the problems out and push it forward.
Yeah.
As autumn approaches, and with Stephen's foot on the mend, it's high time this pair got to grips with their venture. That essential early morning continues to be a sticking point, and trade is dangerously slow. My biggest problem, though, is that 4.5 months after opening, I still don't have an accurate picture of the business. Nobody's got a clue about the takings because they're not on top of the books. We must get it sorted. Look, I'm still trying to get hold of those figures you promised me. Can you give me a call back as soon as you can? But despite my calls, I get nowhere. I might be starting to sound like a nag, but not knowing your outgoings and incomings is a surefire way of getting into real financial trouble.
He's asking a lot for figures and numbers and specifics, and while we've got like a broad-based picture, I don't have the specifics because we've just not physically had the time to be able to get that done.
It's just not good enough. But a couple of weeks later, after 18 weeks of trading, I finally get my hands on some unfinished accounts. Well, now that I've eventually got most of your figures, I've managed to do a bit of analysis on it. And what I've done, I've taken your takings figures for the first 18 weeks, and I've compared those against your cost figures, so your cost of sales, insurance, rent, staffing, all that sort of thing. And what it shows is that for your first 18 weeks of trade, you actually lost £13,000. So you've been losing £700 a week for the first 18 weeks.
So does that include the setup cost in that? Or is that
that's purely on the trading figures. Now, I know it's early days, and no business expects to go straight into profit in the first 4 months. What I've done is a little exercise just to get your brains sort of thinking along these lines. I've done a little diagram of what would happen over the next 12 months if you continue trading at this current level of profitability or lack of profitability. And what it shows, I mean, it's quite a depressing graph of showing your profit going pretty much steeply downhill over the next 12 months. If you did carry on like you have been doing at the moment, by the end of 12 months, you'd have lost in the region of £40,000.
So what are the key elements? What's the thing that's really pulling us down then?
Well, it's the fact that you're not taking enough money and your costs are quite high. It's the discrepancy between how much you're taking and how much you're spending gives this sort of deficit of £700 a week. Are you aware that you're losing that amount of money as an average across that period?
No.
No. We don't think we're losing that amount of money. We are losing money, without a doubt, and we know that. Those figures there are new to us, and we don't believe we're losing £700 a month.
A week?
Sorry, a week.
You know, our figures aren't as strong as they should be. We've not got a handle on our finances because our figures are in such a state at the moment. But the chances are that the general trends are right, in which case then we need to turn it around and do something.
I mean, two things you've just said there. You just said our figures are in a state. Now, that is something that's got to stop from this day forward. Because you can't run a business where your figures are in a state. It's just incompatible with running a business. Sejuice is teetering on the edge. They must get their fingers out to increase turnover. And at last, over the next few days, my rather shocking forecast seems to have an effect. Stephen gets his act together with the spreadsheets, and Sarah turns her attention to the staff. If they're going to get the business back on track, Sarah and Steve need to get their staff working better. That means training and motivating them. For me, there are 4 crucial factors in achieving an efficient work team. The boss must always be clear about and demonstrate the skills and attitude you want your team to have. Then ensure time's put aside to practice and refine their tasks. The boss should encourage and support any input and ideas from employees. And finally, empower and reward staff so they feel an important asset to the business. Over the next few weeks, Sarah trims some of the staff to save costs, and she starts regular staff meetings and training sessions. With increased knowledge about her staff, she's able to make a key appointment.
First of all, I'd just like to announce that Alice is going to be our super smoothie. She's going to be our assistant manager.
Oh my God!
I'd like to give you a little bottle. Hey!
Thank you very much.
She can now be confident that the place will be managed effectively in her absence. Sarah's also developed her exclusive smoothie Bible, an easy guide to those all-important recipes.
We've tried to make it as exhaustive as possible, but I know that we will have missed things out of it, without a doubt. But hopefully it will give a bit more guidance for what's going on. Yeah? So it's there, and we can access it, and it doesn't matter how much orange juice we spill in it, because it's all laminated.
I've also suggested they increase their hot food menu, so it's all hands to the pump as Sarah reorganises the kitchen to cope with the expansion of their snack menu and soups up the look of the place.
I think it's going to look really good, actually.
Out go the old blackboards, and in come the glamorous and cheeky new designs, perfect for catching the eye on a drab day.
There's a theme to it.
Plus, they can do a big promotion on their vitamin C rich smoothies. Highlighting their best sellers should have an impact on sales too.
Just to highlight,
yeah.
And even different colours for different lines.
It's now December, 6 months after they opened. Brighton is practically dead compared to the very busy summer months. This will be a real test for the smoothie bars. While their competitors seem quiet, Sarah's been busy adapting the summer offering to suit the needs of winter customers. Tell me about the soup.
OK.
That looks, I mean, it smells great.
Yep.
What are the economics of that? Have you thought about that? How does that work? That big pot of soup?
Mm-hmm. We can make a big pot of soup, dependent on what we do. Again, if we're making a vegetarian soup, we can make one for a pot for about under £5.
So that costs a £5.
Yeah.
So I can tell without even you telling me anything else. So that is a brilliant
it's a
deal
very,
for
very
you,
good
isn't it?
profit, yeah. Yeah.
See, I think the fact that you can do this soup, and you've got the wraps, and you've got places to sit down and read the paper, I think that's the massive advantage that you've got over the other guys. They don't do homemade soups like this, do they, as far as I know?
No.
And that's a major selling point for you.
We make everything on site. We make it all on site. It's really like a hot smoothie for the winter, with veg rather than fruit.
Okay. Yeah. The secret of success is to get your pricing right. I'm pretty confident that Sarah and Stephen are getting great deals on top quality ingredients and that their menu is competitively priced.
Good.
It's been a long few months, but Sejuice seems to be turning a corner. I think it's the perfect time to turbo boost their profile by throwing a party. It'll also help build up their customer base and sell the Sejuice brand. Plus, it's a fun way of grabbing the attention of Brighton's movers and shakers. The theme? Smoothie-based cocktails with a bit of alcohol thrown in for good measure. They've invited over 200 guests, including local media, businesses and dignitaries.
Well, first of all, we want people to come along tonight and enjoy the few hours that they're here and go away feeling that it's a nice place to be.
It's good marketing, it's a good social thing, and it's a thing that we would have done like weeks ago if all plans came to fruition on time, but plans don't have a habit of doing that always, so just do it now instead, yeah.
This is their chance to shine. It's costing them £3,000, but it should easily pay off down the line. If tonight goes well, they'll be guaranteed media coverage and stir up lots of local interest.
I like the atmosphere. I think it's really relaxed. I think it's great. Lovely drinks, great time. Love the atmosphere here.
This looks really cool. Nice decor, lots of interesting juices and the food.
It's nearing the end of Sarah and Stephen Mulheron's first year in business, and we've just pulled their smoothie bar, Sejuice, back from the brink. High setup costs and a failure to keep a grip on the finances combined to lose the money for the first 4 months in business. Finally, they woke up, smelt the coffee and started to take control. They've instigated a proper staff development program, revamped the menus, checked their pricing structure and thrown a party to get press and publicity. A few days after the party, there's more good news. The story of Sejuice makes the front page of Brighton's weekly listing magazine. This is exactly the publicity they're after. They've managed to establish a unique brand, and today they're giving it world exposure by setting up a website. And the stars of the show, their smoothies, are taking centre stage.
I like this sort of almost like the pop arty thing that we've got on the first page.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think she looks good. And then we just need the little...
Yeah, the little stamp.
But is all the hard work delivering the goods? A few months ago, I discovered that slow service was denting sales and their reputation. Things appear to have improved massively. But to be sure, I've primed 2 mystery shoppers, 25-year-old drama teacher Rebecca and 31-year-old carpenter Pete, to put Sejuice to the test.
What would you recommend for a hangover cure?
The Singapore flame is apparently really good. Like,
really?
Spoke to a couple of people who come in really hungover, had a Singapore flame and felt better.
Ah, okay. Right, I'll go for that.
Medium or large?
Just... I'll have a small one, because I might try another one a bit later.
Okay.
I'll just go for a wrap. Maybe the Mad Mermaids.
Okay,
thank you very much. Take our little samples as well. Take our little samples here. All right, thanks.
5 minutes later, the food and drinks arrive.
Spoon 4, there we go.
Oh.
One light lunch?
Yes, that's me.
15 minutes quicker than in the summer.
Thank you very much.
And for Sarah and her staff, it seems a warm and friendly manner is second nature.
Thank you very much.
That was great. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is the first time I've been in here.
First time I've been in? Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thanks a lot.
Use on the smoothie menu, so if you make smoothies at home, you know what goes together well.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay, see you again. Bye. Really impressed.
Yeah.
Food was delicious, service was quick.
The food came out within sort of 5 minutes,
Less
really.
than 5 minutes, yeah.
And everyone else seems to love Sejuice too.
It's really nice, actually. I had some soup from there last week and it's delicious.
Yeah, I always go there. I work just down the road. The atmosphere's always friendly, people are nice.
It's pretty cool.
Cool, nice sofas at the back, very good.
It's a ringing endorsement for all our recent changes. The last year has been a rocky road, full of good and bad times for Sarah and Stephen. The madness of Italy, Stephen's accident, the achievement of opening their own business, and trying to get to grips with the figures. But has it all been worth the risk? Time for super accountant and valuation expert Julia Chantray. Her job is to crunch the figures and work out whether Sejuice has stopped losing £700 a week and started making a profit. You've built up such a great brand here. Everybody loves Sejuice. People are saying really good things about you. You're in the media. People love your drinks. You've built an amazing amount of reputation in a very short period of time. There's ways in which you can take advantage of that and develop the business. Now, I know you've had the idea about possibly doing a kiosk. So taking the Sejuice name down to the seafront and knocking out drinks like this during the summer months. Now, Julia has taken her estimates for adding on this kiosk, adding that to the shop operation. Look at that. £96,000 a year for the shop and the kiosk. And if you were to open one shop every year for the next 5 years, you'd have a business worth well over £1 million profit.
That is a lot of money. That is... Wow. Wow. That's quite a plan.
I'm not often speechless.
Obviously, this is ultimately what we want to hear. I mean, absolutely, this is what we want to hear, that it is, you know, the sort of reassurance or that it is possible, because we genuinely believe what we've got here is is something that's slightly unique.
Any of this sort of money, doing something that you really love doing, is just fabulous. That for me is that's the key to it.
So, can I propose a toast? Here's to Sejuice the business and Sejuice the lifestyle.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, the big lesson here is that being an entrepreneur is hard work from the outset. When you think you can't go on, you must. Creativity and energy are the keys to success. I think if Sarah and Stephen really use what they've learned this year, they can make a lot of well-deserved dosh from the Sejuice brand. Then they can have the relaxed lifestyle they've always dreamed of. Soon after my last visit, Stephen and Sarah complete the sale of their luxury flat and downsize to a smaller one to release the capital for the expansion of the Sejuice empire. The hunt is on for the next outlet. Now it's my job to help Ben and Gray become successful businessmen over the challenging months ahead. Because if you carry on trading like that, you'll be doing it for next to nothing.
Makes for pretty grim reading, doesn't it?
On Risking It All, next Monday night at 8.